Hi everyone. Today I want to present a vulnerability that was released 3 days ago that we found in March when I was playing with reflective relay. So who am I? First, I'm a pen tester, red teamer at Synactive for 6.5 years. I really love Active Directory, so I'm trying to dig into that. And you can find me on Twitter, on X, for Wilfried. So a bit of context. In March this year, I was doing some Kerberos relay researching, and we already know that Kerberos relay is actually possible because James Forshaw showed that there's many ways to perform Kerberos relay, and one way to do it is to register a specific DNS record that we can see at the end of the slide. So basically, we registered a DNS record with a Marshall structure, and we set the prefix at the beginning that we specify the host name of our target. So I was doing some research around that, and I was thinking, we know we can relay, we can not perform reflective relay on the same machine. So I was still trying it and try to understand why. So I tried to relay the machine to itself using Kerberos relay X. And when I performed this, I got a strange error that's saying that the error was unsupported make type NTLM SSP. I was wondering why NTLM SSP is in use. It should be only Kerberos, because when I was doing the coerce action, where it tries to force the machine to authenticate to our control machine, I'm not using any IP, I'm only using host names. So I was thinking this is kind of weird, what is choosing the NTLM protocol. So I want time to debug that. So I will start with a network analysis using Wireshark. And I will try to capture the authentication flow and compare it between NTLM relay X and Kerberos relay X. And to my surprise, I start NTLM relay X, and then I tried to authentication with that specific record, and it worked. I was like, what the fuck? How does it work? I'm not specifying anything special except coercing the machine account. The machine account is not privileged on itself, so it shouldn't work for the authentication. It should work for the authentication, but it should not be privileged. So here it works, and also it's privileged. So we need to go deeper and understand why does it works. So we did a bit of reversing on the DLL loaded by the LSAS process. Shout out to my colleague Guillaume, that helped me a lot regarding the reverse process. We bring IDA, and we followed first the NTLM authentication process. In short terms, the SMB client here, the machine, will initialize a security context. It will call the initialize security context, W function call. The target name will be passed to the function initialize security context with a specific format that will be the service name followed by the specific record that we want to coerce. So basically, the host name followed by the Marshall structure. Then the check Marshall target info function will be called. It will remove our Marshall structure, and then the target name will be service name followed by our target. So here, server.1, server 1. So now the final part, LSAS will check if the authentication is coming from the current machine. So it will check for the host name, here server 1, the fully qualified domain name, or the specific string localhost. And if it matches, the authentication will work. So here, in that specific case, our record will be unmarshal, and it will match the host name of this server. So since it was the authentication, it was working. So now, what the authentication is privileged. By default, NTLM relay X dump hives registry by default. So it works because the connection is privileged. And I was wondering, why does it work? In that specific case, when you perform local authentication, the client, here LSAS, will include its token. And because LSAS is running a system, the token will be in the NTLM message, the system token will be included. So now it forwards the authentication to the LSAS process for the server part, so LSAS again. It will extract this token and use it to perform further action For instance, here, dumping hives. This is why it works, and also that we are privileged. So now, if you want to exploit this CVE, during red team exercise, you can exploit this vulnerability on any machine where SMB signing was not enforced. You just have to register the local host record with the marshal structure. Basically, by default, any domain user can add a DNS record on the Active Directory. So you add this specific record, and then you can caress all the machines on the domain where SMB signing is not enforced, and get free socks or credentials on any machines. So that was quite easy to compromise any machine 3 days ago. For the bonus, this CVE also works regarding Kerberos. I just explained here the details regarding the short details regarding NTLM. It also works on Kerberos protocol. You can find all the details in our blog posts. And regarding mitigation and patch, as I mentioned, SMB signing prevents this kind of attack. So it's still useful to do a red team exercise to prevent this kind of vulnerability, to prevent zero-day vulnerabilities. And 3 days ago, Microsoft released a patch. So basically what they did is, like, when you perform authentication on the client, it will check if the target name will contain the marshal structure, and if it does, the authentication will not be performed. No connection will be made from the client. So the saddest part is it also breaks the Kerberos relay primitive that for sure discovered using this specific record. So sadly, now we have a bit less of Kerberos relaying primitives. So in conclusion, on this talk, don't hesitate to test things. This is basically how I found this CVE. I was trying to do some tests, and to my surprise, it works. And when it works, try to dig into that and understand how. And sometimes you can find good discoveries. Thank you.